Welcome. My name is Paul Wessels, and welcome to the May 21st, 2011 meeting for Cincinnati TV Toastmasters. We meet every third Saturday of the month, 9 a.m., here at Henderson Community Center, 7850 5 Mile Road. If you'd like more information about our meetings, please feel free to look us up on the web. It's www.tvtoastmasters.com. I'd like to welcome today the TV audience, my fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, Janet Castleman. Janet, good to have you today. We have a very full agenda today, so I would like to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster, Kormelink. Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. And again, welcome to everyone. Glad you're here today. And Janet Castleman is a member of the ACE Advanced Communicators and Evaluators Club, and she is visiting us today. She's also a member of Seven Hills. So welcome again, Janet. I will now ask Rita Ferguson to come up and give us our word of the day and explain why we have a word of the day and what we are supposed to do with this word of the day. Let us welcome Rita Ferguson. And I'm going to walk behind you.
All right. Our word of the day is segue. And this is a word that we use quite often in Toastmasters, but many times people don't know how it is spelled. So this is the spelling of it, S-E-G-U-E. It is pronounced segue. It's a verb meaning to continue without a break, to go into the next part. Or as a noun, an immediate transition from one part to another. And in Toastmasters, one of the main attributes of an excellent Toastmaster is the ability to segue from one portion of our meeting into another. Segue. I'm going to leave this up here, so if you have an opportunity to speak, you may remember to use the word. And with that, I bring back Kormelink.
Thank you, Rita. And that is my job, to segue from one part of the meeting to the next without interruption and to keep it running smoothly. Our next fun part of the meeting is the Tabletopics Master, Don Wess. And Don Wess, if you will please come up and give us our impromptu and tell us what you're doing and the timing. Let's give Don a hand here. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Karen. I'm Don Wess, and have the Tabletopics portion of the meeting this morning. And Tabletopics is the part where we call on someone who is unprepared to speak on a certain topic. The topic would be a surprise, and it would be something that is probably the speaker would be knowledgeable about the topic that is chosen. So today we're having three topics, three extemporaneous speakers, and the first topic is going to be kind of a segue into summertime. When we move into summertime, we leave school behind. The school memories of the previous year or previous years, and memories of the possibilities and looking to the future. And hopefully there's a lot of experiences that each of us have had in regard to school. So the topic is school, and we'd like to have Janet Castleman tell us about school. Janet? Janet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Tabletopic Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, well, Toastmasters of ACE Toastmasters. School is a very familiar topic around my house because my husband is a school teacher. So applaud him for getting to get in front of a classroom of kids the whole day. He teaches 7th grade, and he teaches science. They did some dissecting the other day. So, well, he actually had a cold, but teachers usually make it to work whether they're sick or not, because it's harder to prepare for a substitute teacher than it is to go in yourself. So he went into work, but he said he made it through the day fairly well, because he just had to go around checking on how people were doing with their dissecting, and they actually did a good job even when the principal came around. So that was a good day for my husband.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Janet. Now we can segue from school into the summertime and looking forward to vacations. So the next topic will be summertime vacations. And the person who is going to tell us about his experiences and memories of summertime vacations or his plans will be Darren Henderson. Darren?
Thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
It's actually quite appropriate topic because we're actually leaving for vacation in a couple days. We decided to go to Washington, D.C. this year. And a couple of things, I don't really think of myself as a very good preparer and planner of vacations. This time I got caught a little bit short, but still I had about 4 weeks prior to the trip, so I thought, no problem, 4 weeks, plenty of time to get things set up. Well, much to my surprise, found out that if you wanted to tour the White House, you really need to apply 6 months in advance to be guaranteed a spot. And they won't even look at it probably, the smallest period of time is probably about 2 months. So they don't even look at it a month in advance. Even to tour the Capitol, you need about 3 weeks. Well, apparently it's a very busy time next week, so once again, I wasn't really able to get a tour. We're going to have to do a tour with our congressman, probably some assistant, obviously. So that kind of worked out. But even something as simple as a Washington Monument, 4 weeks in advance is not enough. So I thought it was a great planner for vacations, but much to my surprise, Washington, D.C. is a place that you need to lock down a date 6 months in advance and plan ahead of time. So that's a trick. This is not the kind of vacation you just jump in a car and decide you're going to go to D.C. over the weekend, because it's not going to happen. But that said, we're still looking forward to a very good vacation. I have a 4-year-old son, and one thing he's really looking forward to is going to the Smithsonian, seeing the dinosaurs and the animals, and so that's really one of the main reasons we're going, because he loves museums, and of course, I don't think any place has better museums than Washington, D.C., so very much looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the 10-hour drive, but I'm sure I'll come back with some great stories in a couple months. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren. And then our final segue for the Tabletopics segment of our program this morning will be moving from the summer vacation to a particular summer holiday celebration, the 4th of July. Carol Kormelink, could you tell us about the 4th of July?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletopics Master. Unfortunately, 4th of July is not one of the holidays that I do a lot with. A lot of people I know go to here to see the fireworks. Is that 4th of July, or when is that? Labor Day. Okay, well, I don't do that. So the holiday that we celebrate in my family is the Labor Day weekend. That's when our family gets together, 70, 80 people, and we have a picnic dinner at my niece's house. And it's good to see family members that you only get to see once a year. And that's not quite summer, but it's close enough to the summer. It's the beginning, used to be the beginning of the school year. Now they start earlier. But the food, a couple of the people prepare the meat, we pay for that, and then each one of us brings a covered dish. And we have tons of food, more desserts than you could even want to have. And that is a good time to get together and celebrate. And 4th of July, I like to go up and watch the parade. that they have the veterans when they go up and they do the ceremony in the cemetery at the flag and the 21 gun salute. That's very emotional. Mr. Topics Master.
Okay, well, thank everybody who's participated in the table topics section of our program this morning. And I want to turn the meeting back to Carol. Carol.
Thank you, Don. Our speakers today, we have a very special day today with our speakers. We have two speakers who have completed their manual. When you join Toastmasters, you receive a competent communication manual, and there are 10 projects. Paul Wessels has completed this will be his 10th speech, although he didn't do them in order, so he's actually doing the speech on the vocal variety, number 4, or was it Your Body Speaks? Which one is that there?
Number 4 is how to say it.
How to say it. So Don will be giving us a speech on Paul will be giving us a speech on intervention. Paul Wessels, intervention.
Thank you, Carol. Have you ever seen that TV show? It's called Intervention. If you haven't seen it, it's basically a show about 1 or 2 participants, and they have some sort of issue. It's usually drugs or alcohol, some sort of issue, and they think they're getting filmed on their addiction. They think it's a documentary on their addiction, when in fact they're being filmed for a show called Intervention. And this is when family and friends get together and they kind of surprise the person or persons, confront them. There's a mediator in the room, and they try to help those people out. Well, at times, I feel I need to get together with my neighbors in order to do an intervention on some of our other neighbors. And the reason for that is they can get carried away or addicted or obsessed with their lawns at times. Now, I agree that a good lawn is something to be proud of, and I like a good lawn. It does things for the neighborhood and whatnot, but I feel like there's a few in our neighborhood that could benefit from some sort of intervention. I'm going to describe 3 of them. They happen to be all males. I'm not sure why they're all males. Maybe it's a male thing. Maybe it's trying to control nature. I don't know what it is, but the first one, the guy up the street, I'll call him the lawn organizational neighbor. He is obsessed or addicted, let's put it, with his grass. He has to have perfectly manicured grass. His favorite activity is to get out there and cut the grass. So he's cutting the grass almost every day possible. He likes to cut the grass. He'll cut it vertically one day. He'll switch. He'll cut it horizontally the other day. He does diagonal patterns, and he does something, I guess he's following the contour of the land. I don't know what it is, but he loves to do the patterns in the grass. He doesn't have a lot of bushes, but because he concentrates on his grass. His bushes, though, are perfectly round. I don't know if you've ever seen that, or perfectly flat on the top. Now, he hasn't created any animals or anything like that at this point. His favorite tool, he's got this professional model. It's the kind you wear on your back. It's a leaf blower. And he uses that leaf blower more than the lawnmower. He's out there. If there's any speck on the grass, he's out there right away with the leaf blower, and he's good at it. I use a leaf blower, and I get it all over the place. He's very good at keeping all the debris in one spot and manipulating that debris. So he loves his leaf blower. I've seen him out there with his shop vac, and I've had the nerve to ask him what he's doing. He tells me he's shop vacuuming, he's picking up loose soil from his lawn. Now, why I didn't have the nerve to ask him why he was doing that. I just moved on after he told me that. And then finally, I've seen him out there a couple times with his professional leaf blower thing. After a rain, he's actually blow dried his grass. And again, I didn't have the nerve to ask him why he was blow drying his grass. So He's really into safety devices. He's got some sort of hat he wears that's semi-hard. It's kind of like a baseball cap, but it's not really. It's harder than it's not really a true hard hat. I'm not sure what that is. He's got the glasses. He's got different style glasses depending on what the weather is. He's got his earplugs, and he's got his muffles that he wears. He's got the contour gloves that he uses, and he's got knee pads. He likes his spiked shoes. They're steel-toed spiked shoes. So his favorite position is to be down on his knees. He's got one of these little clippers. So he's clipping and making sure that lawn is perfectly manicured. He also takes pictures of his lawn. Now, what he does with the pictures, I'm not sure either, but he takes lots of pictures of his lawn. That's the first neighbor. Second neighbor, a little further up the street, I'll call him the lawn manipulation neighbor. Now, he's obsessed with his grass also, but in a different way. He just messes with his grass all the time. He's always hassling his grass, the poor grass. He's always dethatching, aerating, seeding, fertilizing, messing with his grass. His favorite activity is to overseed bare spots in his grass. Now, he doesn't have any bare spots. He thinks he's got bare spots. He'll actually create bare spots. So he digs the poor grass out, overseeds it, and puts the straw down on his grass. The main feature of his grass is that you will see straw patches in his grass as you go by. His favorite tool, he loves the aerator. It's a lawn aerator. It's a big, huge device. It's very heavy. It's on a cylinder. In the poor grass, he rolls this thing. It's got spikes on it. The spikes dig into the ground to supposedly aerate the lawn. He likes to do that in the pouring rain. And I can't blame him. He says it's because the lawn is softer when he does it. So he only does that in the pouring rain. So he aerates his lawn a little bit more than he should. You know, this guy needs an intervention, right? So finally, he's got a tool. It's a draconian-looking device. He calls it his Evaluator. And what it is, it's a device that he jams down into the lawn, and he picks up and extracts soil samples from the lawn. And it comes out with a cylinder of soil. It's a soil core, he calls it. And what he does with this core, he cuts it down the middle vertically. He freezes one side. I don't know what for. I guess he studies it later in the year. But he takes the other side and he analyzes it for chemical composition. So that gives him an excuse to manipulate his fertilizer and refertilize. So this guy's constantly messing with his lawn. And finally, I've got a neighbor. I'll call him the yard repair projects neighbor. He is not obsessed with his grass, per se. He's just obsessed or addicted to everything else besides his grass and his lawn. He has a love affair with his deck. He's got a pretty good deck. So he's always out there nailing on the deck. He's always cleaning the deck with his favorite tool. It's a power washer. He cleans his siding, his driveway, anything. He's cleaning out there with that power washer. But his deck, cleans it and restains his deck twice a year, whether or not it needs it. And he uses Harvest Gold. That's his favorite color. He loves to tell his neighbors on what color. So whether or not he needs it, he's doing it with the deck. The main feature of his yard is basically that it's never really done. I don't know if you've seen this sort of thing, but he's always got a wall that he's trying to complete. He's got a pile next to the wall, and he's manipulating that a little bit, or he's got some sort of dirt spot or something going on in his lawn. So he's never really done. He does have a fetish. This guy has a little fetish problem, I think. Outdoor lighting. He's got a fetish with outdoor lighting. I don't know if you've seen these solar-powered lights. They kind of glow in the dark. He's just got way too many of these. He's got them lined up on his sidewalk and then lined up in his driveway. Those are three neighbors that I feel could benefit from an intervention. Now, I have to empathize with them a little bit. I don't know if it's I'm getting older, if I've got nothing to do. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of drifting a little bit toward that direction. I've seen myself, there's a couple things that I've seen myself do that the first one my kids hate. I spend a little bit too much time at Home Depot in the lawn and garden section. I linger a little bit too long there, reading these directions on these obscure tools. and they want me to move on, and I want to try to linger, so that's the first thing I found myself doing. Next, I found myself peeking out the window at the guy with the leaf blower, trying to pick up his techniques. He's so good at keeping it. He's got a little upward movement to his arm. I just, when I do mine, I have to redo it again and again, so I'm looking at techniques, and this last one, I hate to admit it, and it's almost to a point, I've been doing it a little bit too much lately, to a point where I feel like it may not even be good for my health. At night, late at night, when everybody goes to sleep, you know, I will sneak downstairs into the office, and I hate to admit this. I'll close the door behind me, turn on the music to try to muffle what's going on in there, get on the internet, download videos of lawn and garden projects. So it's been slipping. It can slip fast. I've been drifting that way. You know, I'm poking fun at my neighbors, but I feel like I'm kind of jealous of them. I don't know why. I don't know what that is. And I keep coming to the conclusion that, you know, a well-kept lawn is something to be proud of. It's just a matter of time and priority. So I don't know what's happening to me. I just hope I don't drift to a point where one day I find myself surrounded by my neighbors, having them do an intervention on me.
Thank you, Paul.
I'd like to begin tonight with a little joke. This guy, he's a farmer, and he says, "Hey, hello, sorry." But seriously, folks,
Speaking in public is no joke.
farmer says, doctor says, chicken says,
For help, call Toastmasters, the public speaking support group.
the chicken.
Okay, welcome back. Our next speaker, Rita Ferguson, is working from the advanced manual, and she is going to give us a speech on how to be a coach, effective coaching. Her speech has 3 or 4 parts to that, and we'll find out later what all they are, the setting up, telling us how to do the coaching, and then having a dialogue with someone and actually doing that, and then having feedback from that. I'd like to welcome Rita Ferguson, Effective Coaching from the Interpersonal Communication Advanced Manual. Rita Ferguson.
Thank you, Carol. Yes, and for the timer, let me give the timer some instructions on the clock. This project does consist of 4 parts. The first will be the presentation of the coaching process, and that'll be 4 to 5 minutes. So I will need at 4 the green light, at 4.5 the yellow light, at 5 the red light. Then I'll have a 1-minute introduction of a scenario that we will play. Then there will be a 3 to 5 minute role play with my partner, which will be Kormelink, and that's 3 to 5 minutes, so I will need the green at 3, the yellow at 4, and the red at 5. And we will conclude with a 2 to 3 minute informal discussion with everyone taking place on that, and I'll need the green light at 2 minutes, the yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and the red light at 3 minutes. Okay. So, who influenced your life? Oh, I'm not talking about who's your hero, or who's your role model, or who you wanted to be like when you grew up. I'm talking about the person who gave you direction when you really needed it. The person who realigned your compass, who put out that guiding hand. It could be somebody you liked or somebody you didn't like. It could be that grouch down the street that said, if you want to continue delivering newspapers to my house, you'd better get them on my front porch. And you're wondering, how did he know I've lost 3 neighbors that I'm not delivering to over the course of time? But it's that person who gives you perhaps the kick in the pants that you really needed. Who is the person that held up that mirror to what you were doing and held out that vision to what you could be doing better? Toastmaster Carol, fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmaster guest. 2 days ago, I was reminded of a situation like that in my life. I'm a customer service manager. And I have a customer service rep who is having a difficult time giving the bad news to a customer. Right now, there's a worldwide shortage of MME, otherwise known as methyl methacrylate or something similar, but it affects all our products. And we don't have enough of this. We've been giving bad news, bad news, bad news to our customers, and I have one customer service rep who just doesn't want to give that bad news. But I thought of myself many years ago when I was in that same position. I would sugarcoat bad news. I would put hope out there. I would bury that bad news so deep inside of, we're really trying to do this, and I've got the whole team working on it, and if we can, we will, and that the customer didn't hear, it's not going to be there. So on one particular time, I had told the customer bad news. I thought I was clear, but obviously I wasn't, because my boss came to me and said, Rita, why didn't you tell him the material wasn't going to be there? And I said, I did. He said, no, that's not what he heard. And in fact, let me tell you what the problem is with that. He has a full crew. He has no material to run. These people are going to have to go home. He gave me some tips on how to do what I needed to do. And he also said it nicely. You're very good at other things, but you've got to get this under control. So now, 25 years later, I find myself in the same position of coaching a young person on how to give the bad news. The one thing is, be clear. The manual for Toastmasters gives many tips, 7 tips, 9 tips actually, on how to coach another person. But when I look at these 9 tips, I could see that it's basically an opening, a body, and a closing. So what do we do when we have to coach another person? We come to them, and we are clear about why we're there. It doesn't pay to go and say, hey, I just wanted to tell you, that cake that you brought the other day to work was really great. And then you're on this other thing, and then you, bam, hit them with the bad news. When you want to coach a person, be specific. I'm here to talk about whatever situation it is. Describe the impact of what their action is doing. In the same way that my boss had to tell me that I had put a customer in a bad position by not being clear with him. But then listen to what the other person has to say, because it's very possible that what you're coaching them on, there's a real good explanation for it. There could be a reason why performance wasn't where it needed to be. And then come to a mutual agreement with that person about what they could do better and how they can do it. Don't be personal. It's not the person. Many times it's just the process or the system that makes somebody's performance not be where it needs to be. And come together on a course of action. In your coaching session, make sure it's private. Have it in an area where there's not going to be interruptions. Your ability to communicate effectively is going to be the basis for being able to tell your person, your coachee, in fact, what needs to be done, but you don't want to ruin a relationship. You want that relationship actually to be better than it was. And once a resolution has been reached, once you really know what it is that that person understands what he needs to do, or he or she, you have to be able to let go. And by letting go, I mean don't keep bringing it up to that person. It's over. And if you happen to be that person who was being coached, you have to not harbor resentment, but let that go too. Many times after a coaching session, and actually this just happened to me yesterday, my boss came to me and said, you know, Rita, I heard some negative feedback about that meeting that you held. A lot of people, you had the wrong people in that meeting. And it kind of surprised me, and I said, well, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I said, but I do have to tell you that I had asked the managers of each department who I should have in that meeting, and those names were given to me. So I wanted to make sure that he knew both sides of the story. But he was right that I did have some wrong people in that meeting, and perhaps I should have questioned that even before sending out that invitation. Nonetheless, after he left my office, for a couple of minutes, I was still a little bit miffed about that. And I'm right putting together the speech to be given on the next day, and I'm thinking, I have to let it go. I just have to let it go. And so I did. We're now going to move into the scenario section of the presentation. And in this scenario, Carol is going to be the president of TV Toastmasters. I'm going to play the part of a club member who has been a Toastmaster for about 5 years and recently joined TV Toastmasters. What I'd like to discuss with our president, Carol, is how to better engage some of the members through some observations that I've made about the club. So at this point now, I'll ask the timer to reset so that we have 3 to 5 minutes. All right. Hello, Carol.
Hello. Welcome to TV Toastmasters.
Thank you very much. Carol, I really enjoyed the people I've met in TV Toastmasters. It's such a wonderful opportunity to have that experience, to speak in front of cameras, and to understand what goes on behind the scenes of putting together a television program. In fact, it's really the reason I joined the club. But there's not a program in place that I could see that exposes the new members to the full range of what it takes to put on a television program. Now, I've been coming to several meetings, and at this point yet, I have yet to have anyone explain to me the cameras, or what those little red lights are, or where I should look, or which side of the stage I should come up, and who's the man behind the curtain. The impact of this is sometimes we have a meeting where we don't have a lot of members. And some of the newer members would love to fill in if they knew how. But they haven't been trained. So this is what I'd like to discuss with you, because I believe that this club can be stronger if we could take care of this one issue.
I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, and I always welcome things that I may not like to hear, because that gives me an opportunity to do something about it. And Rita had mentioned what she was going to talk to me about, but we didn't do anything except let her know. And I was looking back at some of our past literature, and we used to say professional TV production training, how to gain an understanding of working as a team to produce a multi-camera cablecast, because we have 3 cameras there, and they do have the little red lights. You'll see that the one in the middle is the one that is filming us right now. How to become a floor director and convey signals from the control room. You have to use your hand signals because they would pick up the voice signals. The ins and outs of operating a studio camera, how to do that focus and get the best picture, and projecting a professional image when you are the talent in front of the camera. And we also learned about the 3 lights that we have, the face light, the backlight, and lights down at the bottom. But we haven't been doing that for the last couple years, and I'm glad you brought that to my attention, because I didn't realize how confusing it was for the new person. And I'm a person that believes if you don't do it right away, it's not going to be done, if you don't take action immediately. And so I contacted Andy, who is one of the people at the studio, and asked if he would have some time after the meeting today to do 10 to 15 minutes of camera training. So we will be doing some camera training, how to focus and get the best image. And then we will also be continuing telling people how, when they come to the stage, what they should be doing. And I really thank you for bringing this to my attention. And you actually, on the way over here today, I thought, Our district theme for this next year is B2B, Back to Basics. And you helped us with the theme for the year, Back to Basics. It's very important that we know this, and I appreciate your giving this information to us.
Very good, Carol.
So now on the discussion portion. Was my message clear? And this is now open to everyone. So I am throwing out this table topic to everyone. Was my message clear?
Yeah, I thought it was clear and well organized, and gave us right at the beginning all of the points that you were going to cover during your speech.
All right, so in the beginning, I was able to lay out the points that for the audience to hear. Did I express my concern about the area of performance that needed to be improved?
Yes, the cameras and the behind-the-scenes equipment in the scenario you're talking about. Yes, you did.
Okay. Is there anything else that someone would like to comment on in this overall discussion period?
I think you asked it in a nice, non-threatening way. You were very non-threatening.
Non-threatening? Mm-hmm. Well, coaching is an opportunity that happens daily. All we have to do is look around us. So let's take advantage of making an impact on the lives of the people in our sphere of influence. And remember coaching.
Thank you, Rita, for that wonderful presentation that will improve the performance of TV Toastmasters. We'll get B2B, Back to the Basics.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
Welcome back to TV Toastmasters, and our final speaker today, Mary Arms. I'm quite proud of Mary. She was so afraid. Her sister kept coaching her, badgering her to get up there in Toastmasters and learn to be more comfortable in speaking in front of people, and she has dragged Mary along and given her that little kick in the behind. And this is her 10th speech. She has completed her manual, and she's going to tell us about her butterflies in formation, an 8 to 10 minute speech. Thank you, Mary Arms. Butterflies in formation.
Welcome, new Toastmasters. Here's a hand tool to get your butterflies in formation. It is the Confident Communicator's Manual. You will discover sections called the Mission of Toastmasters International, plus the Mission of the Club, and the Toastmasters Promise. You will discover the heart of the book. It is called the Tabletopics. This is followed by a section in the manual called the Toastmasters Experience. It is very important to read. Trust me. Now you will come upon your first project. It is the icebreaker, which is the scariest part. For your first project, you will introduce yourself to your fellow club members. You will give information about yourself or your ambitions. You will discover speaking skills that you may have, and you will discover it's not that bad. Project 2 is called Organize Your Speech. Good speech organization is essential. Project 3, Get to the Point. Your speech must have both a general and specific purpose. A general purpose is to inform and to persuade. A specific purpose is what you want your audience to do after the speech. Project 4, how to say it. Words are powerful. They convey a message, and they enhance your audience. Project 5, your body speaks. Body language is such an important part of speaking because it enhances your message and gives you more credibility. Now, in between your 5th and your 6th speech, you should evaluate your progress. And what is it called? Evaluate your progress, Part 1. Project 6 is vocal variety. Your voice has a major effect on your audience. You will learn how to improve your volume, pitch, and speed, which I'm doing a lousy job. Project 7 is research your topic. Your speech will be more effective if you can support your points and statistics. 8 is visual aids. 8 is help your audience understand and remember what they hear. 9, persuade with power. It is ability to persuade people and to act upon your ideas. And 10, inspire your audience. Your speech will last longer than any of your other speeches. It will be 8 to 10 minutes long. Don't worry, the time will fly by and your audience will just love you. And as you go further into your manual, you will come to your Toastmaster Survival Guide. The first part, what else? How to make your butterflies fly information. 1 is to know the room. 2, know your audience. 3, know the material. 4, relax. You can do stretch exercises to, get the tension away. 5, visualize yourself giving your speech. 6, realize people really do want you to succeed. 7, don't apologize. 8, concentrate on the message. 9, turn nervousness into positive energy. And 10, gain experience. Experience builds confidence. Can't think of what to say? Well, here are some speech topic suggestions. 1, how to pack a suitcase. 2, traveling with children. 3, way to reduce travel expense. 4, local weekend vacation spots. 5, first aid items each traveler should carry. And 6, how to protect your valuables from theft. Don't think these ideas will work? How about these subjects? 1, advertising. 2, books. 3, diet. 4, community service. 5, exercise. 6, a retirement. 7, discipline. And 8, television programs. Now let's go to part 2, table topics. There are 3 ideas you can help with your table topics. 1 is read a book or magazine to generate ideas. 2, organize your thoughts when you are giving a question or answering one. And 3, remain calm. Now the manual part 3 tells you how to introduce a speaker. Eventually, as you participate into the club, you will serve as Toastmasters of your meeting. One of your roles as Toastmasters is to introduce the speaker. The best introduction helps the speaker and the audience establish a common bond. Part 4 covers thanking a speaker. Your role as Toastmasters of a meeting also includes thanking the speaker when he or she is finished. As the speaker finishes, you can lead the audience in an applaud as you return to the lectern, and then express appreciation to the speaker on behalf of the audience. If you wish to make any comment, you may do some of some aspect on the presentation or the appropriateness. Keep your acknowledgement brief and be pleasant and gracious and sincere. Even if you don't agree with the speaker's viewpoint, avoid offering your own. Be focused and stay focused on the speaker. Finally, we've reached it. The application for your Confident Communicators Award. You worked all the way through there to get to it. Make sure the project record is complete. And finally, look at that. We worked our way through the Confident Communicators Manual. You have plans, you have ideas for speeches, and you have all your butterflies in a row. Now let's start flying. And thank you so much.
On behalf of your sister, who couldn't be here today, she had an annual meeting. She wanted to present you with those, and we present you for your 10th speech that you have completed, and we will turn this in today, and you will be a competent communicator. Again, thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
And Paul, if you would like to come up here 1 minute, because I forgot to give you this, and your little gift, she brought cupcakes for everyone that are in the other room.
Okay, great.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
Carol, as Carol said, we're now moving towards the evaluation phase of our meeting, and I like to think of this as if Toastmasters were just a speech club, we'd get up here, give speeches, pat ourselves on the back, and say, great job. But we're not just a speech club, we're a communication and leadership club. And I think of it this way, if we didn't have any feedback in our car, meaning no speedometer, we'd all drive 100 miles per hour, right? Because with no feedback, our perception is, I'm only probably driving 50, so what's the problem, right? So feedback is very important. And the members of my team today will be the evaluators, the timer, and the grammarian. To start out, I am actually the first evaluator today. I'm going to be evaluating Paul Wessels. And Paul was doing actually the fourth project, even though he finished his 10th speech today. This is the fourth project in the Communication and Leadership Manual, and it's called How to Say It. Paul's objectives were to select the right words and sentence structure to communicate ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly, use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize ideas, and to eliminate jargon and unnecessary words, and use correct grammar. And Paul thought it was a very good speech. It was very entertaining, very funny. You do have a sense of humor. A lot of your speeches do include humor. I thought it was a great concept, and I do like the fact of how you organize it. You told us up front you're going to talk about 3 different people, and I think we all know people in our neighborhoods who obsess about lawns. Either you're someone who obsesses, you're someone who's in the normal range, or you're someone who doesn't care. So hopefully I'm in the normal range, but my neighbors may think I'm in the range of people who don't care, but hopefully not. But I think we all know the people who you were describing. I really like the organization. I really like and this was a speech about words. I thought some of the things you did great were you named the people: lawn organizational neighbor, lawn manipulator, and then yard repair project guy. You had some great words, I noted, because once again, this was about words, and one purpose of the speech was to have simple, clear words to get the point across. Some of the great words you used were dethatch, the violator, which I really liked. Then you got a little controversial. You start talking about love affairs and fetishes with the yard repair projects guy. So I thought it was a great way to get across a point and to bring some humor into it. Your manner up here is very confident. you obviously, it was a very funny speech, so you were pretty loose and pretty confident. Also, I think one thing when you get up here, you have great articulation, which I appreciate when giving a speech. As far as improvement, the one thing which did occur is that you did go a little bit long in the speech. One thing that, now this isn't, these really aren't, Carol may disagree with these, this isn't a general statement, but when I saw you were going to go long and you didn't have, you're probably only about 2/3 of the way through the speech, I was actually hoping that you would complete the speech as designed and not try to cut it short because I was enjoying it. Now that's not great advice if you're in a speech contest. So like say, in this case, I was hoping you would just complete your speech even though it was going to go long because I was enjoying it. But obviously if you're in a speech contest, you have to practice and just ensure you're going to stay within the time parameters. The only other thing I had for an improvement point was just body language. I think your body language was much better early in the speech. You were in this area and you were just kind of moving a little bit. Later in the speech, you kind of moved over here a little bit and started leaning. So for the most part, it was good body language, but later in the speech, you kind of drifted a little bit. But overall, I thought it was a very good speech, very entertaining. And once again, congratulations on your 10th speech. So good job. And our next evaluator, is actually Paul, who will be evaluating Rita Ferguson. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks, Darren. Rita, your speech, or I guess it's a speech, was on how to coach. And what I liked, first of all, is you brought in a real story to begin with. You kind of, why are we doing this? Why do you want to coach? Why be effective in the coaching role? And you had the story about the methyl methacrylate, which was good. And you brought in, when you had the methyl methacrylate story, you weren't getting enough of this chemical to do what you have to do. And you remembered back when I like the fact that you started out saying, I have to do this, but I remember when I was young and making the same mistakes and when somebody was coaching me. So you brought in a real world example first. So I like that. It's like, this gives us a reason to want to be a better coach, a real world example. And then you were specific. You went right down the line. There were 7 or 8 is what I caught, specific things. Be specific. And I learned something here too. You really kind of know how to coach, but you have to be really told specifics. It's like, yes, you want to be specific. You want to describe the impact. If you don't describe that impact, listen to what they have to say back and forth. Private, that's a biggie. You don't want to do any kind of coaching or that sort of thing when you're telling bad news or trying to improve somebody. In public, you want to praise in public and do that kind of stuff behind the scenes. Maintain that relationship. There's a fine line. You don't want to scare anybody, but you want to improve them. You don't want to put them on the defensive. And then the both ways, either being the coach or being coached, how to react in that direction. So you were specific, real world example, specific. Then you did your role play. So you came up here, did a nice role play. It's a role play. The only thing I could see from an improvement, I don't think you just had enough time to really get into it and do it. You only had a short period of time, but the time you had, you made it very effective. You asked the question. It was something that we could relate to here. And it is true. If you don't know what's going on, you walk in here, the cameras, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So it's something that can improve us here too. So in general, great speech and great role playing, and I appreciate the information, to tell you the truth. Thank you. Darren?
Thanks, Paul. Mm-hmm. Okay. Our next evaluator for Mary Arms will be Rita Ferguson.
Mary, butterflies in formation. Your 10th speech. Congratulations. This was as confident as I have ever seen you speak. You may have been scared, but you had your butterflies in formation. And you also looked like you had a little bit of fun with this speech. It was a little bit of going back into the manual and reviewing where you started and how far you've come. Because this manual, in all honesty, is my favorite manual. Now that I'm working in the advanced manuals, I find that everything is very structured. You don't have the latitude. And this inspired me to remember, boy, This was a fun manual, and it really is where you get your start. One of the things I think you could have done a little bit, might have been more effective, is that you had a broad range of subject matter. You not only went through all the 10 speeches, but you also went through how to, what the roles were of the Toastmaster, and taking a look and periodically evaluating where you were. Some more examples might have been helpful. For example, when you said, give appreciation for the speaker, what does that look like? How do you do that? So I would, the suggestion would be to narrow the range so that you can give more specifics on it and just bring in some real life examples. But now that you've finished with this book, and I could see tremendous improvement because I've known you now for a long time, you are a living example of how this book has helped and is the core of the Toastmasters program. Nice job, Mary.
And with that, I will turn control back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Darren, for that excellent evaluation of the meeting and the evaluators and everything. We do have a sign-up sheet for the next meetings, and I will pass this around if you haven't signed up. We also meet on the first Thursday of the month. I think we had a very good meeting today, and I appreciate everyone being here and doing double duty so that we could have a fine meeting, even though we only had a few people here. All these people traveling, I hope that they will be able to make our next meeting. I will now return control. One of the things, and I had very good analogy, but I don't remember what that was for when someone did something, when they gave a very good analogy, but I didn't write who it was. And I will return control of the meeting to our presiding officer, Paul Wessels, competent communicator.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I also thought we had a great meeting. It went pretty smooth. Fantastic speeches, good evaluations. Before we adjourn, I'd like to congratulate Carol on her award, and Mary and myself on our achieving our milestone. And TV audience, I'd like to thank the TV audience, my fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, Janet. Thank you for coming. Janet, would you like to come up and give a few comments on the meeting? We can segue into this a little bit.
Yes, I really enjoyed coming here today and learning a little bit more about what it is to speak in front of a TV camera. And I learned as I listened and watched, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. We meet the third Saturday of every month, 9 a.m. here at the Henderson Community Center, 7850 5 Mile Road. If you want more information about our meetings, please contact us. You can check us out on the web, www.tvtoastmasters.com. And with that, I'd like to adjourn the May 21st, 2011 meeting of Cincinnati TV Toastmasters.